southern trees bear strange fruit.
Billie Holiday, the singer, paints graphic, bold imagery in her head. The tempo slow-paced and somber, she emphasizes each line, elongating the words. Her unique style of singing behind the beat creates an intuitive reaction, building up emotional intensity. In 1939, Strange Fruit by Billie Holiday became a turning point in music and illustrated the significance of protest and resistance. Although it was and remains controversial, this revolutionary song inspired activism by confronting the brutality of lynchings and emerged as a powerful voice amidst the fight for freedom. Lynchings most lethal during the 1900s to 1920s were violent public acts. Victims were pursued relentlessly or kidnapped, typically happening in the South. Cruel mobs would use gruesome and horrific torture, including deaths from beatings, shootings, or burnings prior to being hanged. 72% lynched were Black during the 19th and 20th centuries. Numerous historians think that the statistics are even underreported. White mobs frequently fabricated stories, using questionable criminal allegations to justify their actions, causing African Americans to reside in constant fear. They often perpetuated a stereotype of Black men as violent aggressors. White mobs would also accuse the victims of murder and rape, as well as more unreasonable accusations, including being a relative of a person who was lynched or talking back to a white man. Thousands would watch, and crowds could reach up to 15,000 people. Postcards were taken of crowds picnicking under hanging bodies, showing people who were proud of what they accomplished, said Robert Meeropol, the son of Abel Meeropol, who was the creator of Strange Fruit. People would often preserve souvenirs in their homes, ranging from postcards and photographs to more extreme souvenirs, like parts of clothing, rope, and body parts. In the 1920s, anti-lynching legislation was constantly put forward, but was not passed. The song Strange Fruit started as a poem called Bitter Fruit, written by Abel Meeropol, a Jewish-American teacher from the Bronx, who went by the pseudonym Lewis Allen. He was troubled by the systemic racism in the U.S. after seeing a picture of the lynching of two Black teens, Thomas Shipp and Abram Smith, in 1930.
This was a cultural carnival, and Abel Meeropol was horrified by that.
This led him to write the poem, which he published in the journals The New York Teacher and The New Masses. He then set his poem to music and would sing the song at multiple protest rallies with his wife, Anne Meeropol. Holiday was introduced to Strange Fruit when working at Cafe Society, the first integrated nightclub in New York. She was hesitant to sing at the start, not wanting her songs to be political, but remembering the way her dad was treated and people are still being treated, she agreed. It reminds me of how pop died, but I have to keep singing it, because 20 years after pop died, the things that killed him are still happening in the South. Strange Fruit came out the same year as Gone in the Wind in 1939, a film that embodied superiority over African American people and performers. She brought into the world of lively, lighthearted jazz a powerful song that shed light on America's dark secret of lynching. Billie Holiday's recording company at the time, Columbia Records, didn't want to record Strange Fruit, fearing potential backlash. A record portraying, quote, racial atrocities wouldn't fare well with audiences. On an April 20th, 1939, Commodore Records, an independent label, agreed to produce it, and Strange Fruit debuted as a single. For the first time in people's lives, they thought about lynching victims as actual humans. Bassist Charles Mingus recalls the moment he heard Strange Fruit. That's when I changed our idea of a song telling a story. That music is here to tell the white world the wrongs they have done in race. Although the song was popular among people who advocated for African Americans' rights, it received severe opposition. When she started singing Strange Fruit to close her performances, some were in awe of the boldness and power of the song, even cried for the deep imagery like the scent of magnolias, then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Most patrons, though, would mentally and sometimes physically abuse Holiday, or immediately stand up and leave, as it was easier to be angry at Billie than change their ways. even though they knew that she's saying the truth. "I've made lots of enemies. Singing Strange Fruit hasn't helped any," said Holiday to Downbeat in 1947. Even magazines would criticize Billie, especially Time magazine, a very conservative paper at the time, declaring Strange Fruit a prime piece of propaganda for the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, or the NAACP, an organization that fought for equality. Strange Fruit became a turning point, an anti-lynching anthem that forced listeners to face the harsh reality of America's ongoing crime. Ahmet Ertegun, an American-Turkish songwriter, called Strange Fruit a declaration of war, the beginning of the civil rights movement. Holiday knew the danger of singing this controversial song in front of a white audience as a black performer, but rose up, risking her career and life, using her platform to sing the truth again and again when no one else did. William Duffy, the co-writer of Billie's autobiography, called Holiday courageous for singing Strange Fruit, even causing her to be, quote, harassed and kicked around for years by the authorities. Strange Fruit made her well-known and politically controversial. The song especially angered Harry Anslinger, prejudiced Federal Bureau of Narcotics Commissioner and extreme racist, who was determined to stop her message against racism and segregation.
Billie Holiday to him was like the symbol of everything that was going wrong in America.
But Holiday was defiant against Anslinger's demands to stop performing Strange Fruit. Because of this, he used agents from his department to frame her by selling opium to Billie. She explained that she was handed a parcel and was grabbed before she could dispose of it. When she was hospitalized with organ problems, Anslinger sent agents to handcuff her to her hospital bed, prohibiting any treatment from doctors. Billie Holiday died July 17, 1959 at age 44. Strange Fruit was also a turning point in anti-lynching legislations. The song made it impossible for white politicians and Americans to continue to overlook this terrible so-called recreation. Strange Fruit became a political weapon. The NAACP used Strange Fruit to persistently urge legislators to pass laws that would make lynching a federal crime. However, the Democratic Party, infiltrated by white supremacists at the time, thwarted the NAACP's attempts.
The text of Strange Fruit was sent to every member of Congress in support of an anti-lynching bill, and anti-lynching bills were constantly destroyed by filibusters in the Senate.
In 1994, Judge Stephen Reinhart cited Strange Fruit to represent that killing by hanging was, quote, cruel and unusual, putting the full text of the song in his judicial opinion. It's one of the 2 or 3 songs that made the greatest impression on me when I was young, and I never forgot it. Music critic Leonard Feather named the impacts the song had. It was the first significant protest in words and music, the first unmuted cry against racism. The resilience of the song remained unwavering, despite facing criticism. Strange Fruit received many awards, including the Song of the Century by Time magazine in 1999, it was named one of 10 songs that changed the world by Q magazine, a British music publication. It was even added to the National Recording Registry for being, quote, historically and culturally significant on January 27, 2008. Since then, Strange Fruit has become Holiday's #1 record of her career, selling at 1 million copies. Rhapsody, a North Carolina rapper, describes how sadly this song is still relevant, creating a political and emotional impact today. Even 80 years later, that song still speaks to the times. You don't need more than 91 words. What else needs to be said? Unfortunately, we are still experiencing what is called modern-day lynchings. Although we may not currently see black bodies hanging from poplar trees, there's still undeniable evidence that African Americans continue to die just due to their existence, like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and multiple others. Over time, Strange Fruit has persisted as a representation of the racism and hardship that countless individuals have endured in the U.S. Today, this song is rarely heard. However painful, this turning point tells an important part of our past in music that should not be forgotten.
Here is a strange and bitter cry.